Go focus on. What's going on, everyone? It's Bowles, and welcome back to another episode of the Weekend Report. Well, it's probably the first one, the home and away season. Good to have footy back. Round one is all done. Unfortunately, today was very disappointing for me. I went to the Adelaide Oval to watch the Crow boys hopefully get a win, but heartbreaking loss at the end, which sucks. What are you going to do? I know that we're a developing team, so we're not going to win every game, obviously, anyway. But yeah, so it was a good game to watch, though. They didn't play too great in the first half, and then Freddie didn't play too great in the second half, except for the last bit. But got a bit to talk about fantasy, obviously. This one's obviously probably the more difficult round because obviously you don't know what's going to stick and what's not. So we'll go through that. But if you're enjoying the content around here, make sure you leave a like on the video. That'd be very much appreciated. And if you're new around here as well, click the subscribe button and you won't miss when I go live on Friday afternoons and Sunday nights this season. So we've got plenty to discuss for tonight. So I hope you guys all did well in the first week. I'm not going to go through the Melbourne and Bulldogs game or the Carlton-Richmond game because we went through that on the Weekend Forecast episode. If you didn't check that out, maybe you can check it out now. That some of the information could still be useful, I guess, if you want to listen back to Bales for another hour or so. But if that's completely up to you. But yeah, so anyway, we'll get stuck into the Weekend Report. So just get up the first game here. And that was Geelong and Essendon. Bit of a thumping, actually. I thought it'd be a bit closer than what it was. But obviously, the first thing we got to talk about from this game, Nick Martin, that came from nowhere. If you watched the game against St Kilda when he played that half, the second half, he looked really good. 57 from 42% game time, and you think this guy can score. Like, he might be a guy that if he stays in the team, then he'll score quite well and could potentially be fielded. Some people did field him. I know Warney did. A lot of people put emergency. I was not one of those smart coaches. I had Corey Dern's emergency already. I probably should have put Martin there just in case because he probably could have scored the most. But you live and you learn. That's always the way. But then again, you have to trade in a red dot, and we've got a couple of concerns of rookies, and we might already have some red dots next week. So Nick Martin, 5 goals on debut, 27 disposals. I think he's eligible for the Rising Star Award because he's 20 years old. I'm pretty sure if you're under 21, you're eligible. So I'd no doubt he'll get it. A certain Crow did quite well today as well, which we'll discuss him a bit later. But yeah, Nick Martin, great, 130. His breaking was 22, which all basement guys are. So outscoring your breaking by over 100 points, you're going to be going up a lot of money, probably upwards of 250K, somewhere around there. He's going to have a negative 40 or negative 30 odd break even next week. So he's going to rise in a lot of cash over the next few weeks if he can stay in the team. I was a bit sort of weary when I didn't put him on my field, and I wasn't as confident because I thought no Snelling and no Stringer, the main two. I thought they come in, Nick Martin's out of the team, but he played better. They probably dropped someone else over him because he was their big shining spark in this game, and he's going to be probably on a lot of people's fields next week. So people that have got like Sherry, for example, they could move him to a bench, or even you could even move him on. Obviously, North lost today, so maybe they think we just want Goldie and Coleman Jones. Sherry didn't play too bad, but maybe that's something they think. I had Naish, so maybe I'd probably move him on and bring in someone else and put Nick Martin on the field, which is probably what I'm going to do and a lot of people are going to do if they've got someone in their forward line they're not happy with. Zach Merritt started off well, 119, ticked that off, great score to start off. I did say that I thought he's going to play well against Geelong. If someone said he would have played well against Geelong in a thumping, I probably wouldn't have thought that. But Zach Merritt, he's just one of the premiums that gets it done every week, isn't he? So 119, as I said, 39 disposals. He's going to be good this year. He probably averaged close enough to 115. And yeah, if you want to look at bringing him in over the next few weeks, I guess you can do that. Andy McGrath did well off his half-back role, 108 points with 29 disposals. As you can see, a lot of Essendon players did get a lot of the ball. It was just that Geelong was just the better side in the end. But yeah, McGrath played well. He'll get his DPP in round 6. So let's just see if he can keep this scoring up. He's obviously he's had a good history in the juniors and previously with fantasy. So let's hope that this can translate to some good scores, which obviously started off well here. Paddy Dangerfield played well as well, 31 touches, kicked a goal, missed a couple as well. Looked a lot better in the first half. The second half, I think he probably pulled it back a gear because they'd already won the game, so probably didn't have to try as much. But 108, you'll take that for an underpriced guy you paid for. Parish 104, not too bad. Obviously, anytime you get 100 from play, you tick that off. Jai Caldwell 103 as well. Kicked a couple of goals in that as well. 23 touches. I still worry a bit when Stringer comes back. He might be back in the next. I don't know if he's back next week. Within the next couple of weeks, he will be. I know Snelling does have a few CBAs here and there, so that's something to keep an eye on as well. But for his price, 103 points, you take that. If you started with him, it's great. I don't know if it's enough to jump on just yet. Maybe see another game from him, and then I'd suggest jumping on. But if you want to jump on, then he's going to make money because his break-even was quite low, so he will make money. Then you had Cutler 102, Hawkins 101, and then Stengel got 100 as well. Wouldn't expect that every week. He did have 7 shots on goal with 20 disposals in a side that scored 138 points. So good for making money if you started with him, but I wouldn't expect those 100 scores. He could dish up a 40 or a 50 in the next few weeks. So just be wary of that as well. In terms of other interesting players, so Guthrie, a little bit poor with 84. So I know that not many people started with him, but if you did, that's obviously not the best score you want to see, especially in a win. I thought only 1 mark as well, which he does get quite a lot around the ground. But I wouldn't be trading these premiums. You don't trade your premiums round 1 unless you saw something that you really didn't like. But I still wouldn't trade premiums, especially if they're going to be in the top 6 in their position, or top 8 in their position, or even top 10 in any spot besides rucks, top 4 or whatever. But I wouldn't be trading any of those guys. Tom Stewart 77. Again, only kick away from 80. You know what you're going to get from Stewart. It's going to be over 75 every week. I probably expected over 85. He started the game okay, but sort of didn't do too much. I guess that's probably because ball wasn't in defence so much. Maybe you thought maybe get a bit of the chip around the back towards the end of the game. But hey, again, he's going to be around those top 8 to 10 defenders. So he's fine. That's all good with him. A few people talk about Zach Guthrie, 69. It's not awful, but probably not enough that you'd be too impressed with that. But again, all our defenders, like Jordan Ridley, another one, 59 points. That's not enough from when you paid nearly 700K for him. And Jake Kelly was in the team as well, so I thought he'd be a bit better than that. But again, they did get beaten pretty heavily, so maybe you hold off on a week before trading him out. Front sevens came on after Sam de Conning was concussed, so that will be a red dot for us, because I'm pretty sure it's still the is it 10 or 14 day not quarantine, the 10 or 14 day protocol period for concussion. So he'll be out next week. I would suggest he comes straight back in because he's got that Henderson role. But hey, if they bring someone in, they play really well, then maybe that's a 190K guy we've got sitting on our bench that's not going to make any money. But everyone's got him, and he was the only guy you'd pick. You're not paying up for Gibcus and McCartan on your bench. And then Kane Baldwin as well, only 28. It's a difficult one. He's only going to go up a couple of K if that, because his break-even was 22. He's not going to be a heavy scorer. Nick Martin's obviously shown he's a lot better scorer. So if he started with Baldwin and didn't start with Martin, unfortunately, you have to pay a little bit for that. But that would be something I'd be doing, because Martin can play on your field and he's going to make a lot of money compared to Baldwin, who's not going to make very much money unless he can get some bigger scores than a really a 28. It's just not what you want. But he'll probably stay on my side next week because he's probably going to play, and I've got a couple of other things that I want to fix up on as well. So that's pretty much it for that game, unless I missed anything. I don't think I did, but if I missed anything, just let me know in the chat, and then I can go back and talk about them. If you've got any questions as well, answer them towards the end of the chat as well. I'm sure there's plenty of trade stuff you guys might want my opinion on. If you do, and if you don't, that's all right. That's all good. I'll give my +3 and -3 as well towards the end of this as well. So Giants and Sydney, very, very good game, this one. Very high scoring. I missed 10 minutes, had to go do the vote, which couldn't be bothered doing, but hey, you got to do it. But yeah, so Tom Green 133, he looked very, very impressive. He'd be one that I would be looking strongly at this week. Played a decent amount of midfield, but he just looked good all over the ground. So if I look at what his break even was for this week, Tom Green was at 602, a little bit expensive, but 71 break even. So again, you're going to get quite a lot of price rises early from him if he can keep up that sort of scoring. A very all-round game. Essentially what these Uber premium guys do: kicked a couple of goals, 31 touches, 5 marks, 7 tackles, had 2 hit-outs as well, just for good measure. Yeah, I would probably watch for one more week, but if these are these first few trades, you can take a couple of risks. Because you can always trade, mate. You got 2 trades over the first 3, well, for the whole season every week. But these first few weeks of trades are more. You can take a risk or 2. You can trade out these guys, rookies that you missed out on. Like you can bring them in, and then you can trade out guys that you're not as keen on. Which is a guy in this game that I think he'll probably be going for me because I wasn't happy with what I saw. Timmy Taranto, 28 touches, again, 5 marks, 7 tackles kicked, 1 goal, 3. So this could have been a 140 plus score from him. He was everywhere as well, pushing high up the ground. He wasn't playing that deep forward role, which I thought he might have been doing with no Toby Green. He did attend some CBAs as well, which is good to see. So he's just going to be a top 6 forward, and he's going to be probably the number 1, if not top 2 forward scoring players this season. In terms of CBAs, he went to 11. So out of, what's that, 13, so 30 out of 34. So not too bad. Still got a decent amount, but obviously Toby Green comes back. He'll be spending a lot more time in the midfield. He'll still spend his time forward, but that's what's going to happen there. Look, Isaac Heaney played really well. Again, he played a decent amount of midfield as well. So he got 16 of 34 CBAs. So that's really good. That's exactly what you wanted to see from round 1. 121 points, kicked 3 goals, 25 touches, 5 marks, 6 tackles. Always very nice. Again, he's going to, if he's playing that role that he did on the weekend as well, and again, Papley's going to come back in that side, he's going to be a top 6 forward if he's doing that. Again, if you're hot on it, you can bring him in. I know a lot of people could swap some players for him. A few defenders failed this week, so maybe you could try and maybe put McCartan on your field and get a forward in. And Heaney could be that guy if you want. But I'll probably watch for another couple of weeks to see what's happening. But yeah, but he played really well. Luke Parker was probably the match winner here. Kicked 5 goals and 21 touches. He spent more time forward, I thought, than what Isaac Heaney did. But then when I looked at CBAs, it was sort of similar. He had 17 CBAs, and I just thought he played a lot more forward. So if I look at actually time on ground, did he play a lot more time on ground? No. Okay, so Heaney had 83 and Parker had 82. So it was essentially the same, but I just thought Heaney played a little bit more midfield than what Parker did, but it didn't turn out. But Parker played really well and got 119. So again, probably one in draft. He might even get forward status if he's playing forward. So again, that's another forward that we could think about as a top 6 forward. Josh Kelly, 96. Not bad for round 1. You're not trading him out for that, but probably want a tiny bit more than that. You want obviously that extra tackle to tick him over 100 points, but 96 is okay, I guess. Flinney had 88 as the sole ruckman. Bruce will be hopefully back for people that put him on their bench next week, so maybe that score goes a bit down. Hopefully Bruce can score well. Stephen Connillio, he looked good. He didn't obviously score amazingly. 87 again as a forward. You're not complaining too much about that, but attended 20 CBAs out of 34. So again, had a more midfield role, but as we said, he'll be playing a little bit more forward as well. He did obviously spend some time forward, but not as much as other players. So he'll be predominantly midfield this season, but yeah, he looked good whenever he got the ball. It wasn't last year where he did look like he was underdone and didn't look fit and just didn't look right. Obviously got injured a fair bit, so not bad. Callum Mills, 87. Again, looked good in patches. I think he did spend a little bit more time on the bench, so 81%. So so he didn't really, but he spent 80, as I said, 81%. Again, primarily midfield role for him. 21 CBAs. He'll be good this season. Again, I predicted he'll probably be my guy that will go over the 115 mark this season if he doesn't get injured. And he looked fit. Took a knock, I think, late, but he played on and he didn't look like that bothered him, so that's fine. Anyone else here? Lockie Whitfield on his 69, so a bit poor. I don't know if he's getting tagged in the first half. I didn't notice him a great deal in the first half. Second half, he did a lot better. But again, you're going to get these games from every defender. There's not, maybe besides Aaron Hall, but every defender's going to put in these games. So I wouldn't be worried about Whitfield. He'd be fine next week. Who's he got next week, actually? That'd be interesting to see. So Giants have got Richmond. And he does normally play quite well against Richmond as well. So look out for a big score from Whitfield next week. I would imagine. I know the Giants will want to get the ball more in his hands, especially after losing I tipped Giants. My tips were terrible this week. I just could not tip a winner to save my life. Paddy McCartan, 59. You take that. You take that from a defensive rookie as well. 14 touches, 6 marks. If he can score that on a weekly basis, he's going to make us some cash. And he's a decent guy to have as your D6. That's something I'm considering shuffling this week, putting him as my D6. He's on my bench at the moment at D7. So I'm sure a few people would consider that. Some people did start with him on the field as well. And you'll definitely take that from a rookie in round one, especially defender rookie. Maybe not so much. Maybe midfield rookie want a bit more, maybe 65 or so. But yes, 59, sorry, is not too bad. Who else do we have here? If anyone has started a Hopper, 56 is not what you want. I wasn't keen on Hopper anyway. Hopper's a decent play, but he just doesn't have the fantasy numbers yet. I think there's a few more guys up in that pecking order in terms of scoring at the Giants than him. Few people saw Dylan Stevens, 49 is not what you wanted. The one we got to talk about, though, if there's anyone else. So Angus Sherry only got 28. I hope you didn't probably pick him because I don't think he's going to stay in team long term as well, especially when a guy like Papley comes back and he's hopefully only a couple of weeks away. But obviously, and then Buddy obviously only got the 1 goal. So I didn't think he was going to get the goal. I thought Giants. Sam Tarr's a good defender. I thought he'd be a few more weeks away, but hopefully the Bud gets it back home at the SCG next week. But Mcinerney's the one we got to talk about. 17 disposals, only 1 mark, no taste. He's not a guy who's going to get many tackles anyway, but only 43 points. So unfortunately, the way I look at it is you could keep him and hope that he does better. But the big thing is that his break-in was about in the 60s. So he's not going to make that cash now for us. He's going to have to have a couple of big 85, 90 plus scores to then start making and generating that cash. So I think it could be a wise move. And what I'll probably be doing this week, unless I get any injuries I don't know about, is move Mcinerney on to someone else that's going to make some money or has got a better role. So I'll talk about potentially what I'll be looking at doing in the coming weeks. So there you go. That's what I do there. So yeah, moving on to the next game. And I realised then, speaking about that, I missed the game on Friday night. So there you go. So Bales made his first mistake that I know of, and I've probably made many more. But yeah, so we'll recap Friday nights instead now. So we're going Saturday, and then we'll go back to Friday night. So yes, Collingwood obviously winning there as well. Shout out to Stephen Young as well. Just saw you subscribe to the channel. Thank you very much for the support as well. I appreciate that. If anyone else wants to do that as well, then that'd be very much appreciated as well. I do like, as I said last year, I like when I get notifications and I can thank you guys because I do appreciate any support you guys give the channel. So let's start again with the St Kilda and Collingwood game. So Paddy Lipinski, which is a good segue because Mcinerney, I'm thinking about going to Lipinski this week. I saw so many good things from Lipinski on this game. I watched the majority of this game or heard it on the radio. I heard a little bit on the radio when I was driving home from the city, but majority of the game I did watch. He was everywhere. 30 disposals, 5 marks, 4 tackles, kicked a goal and 117 points. He was a heavily talked about player in the preseason as well. I said again on the Friday podcast as well that if he was going to get heavy midfield minutes, he was going to score well and outperform what he was valued at, which is exactly what he did. His break even was, I'm interested to see what his break even is because he's definitely obviously going to go up in price. His break even wasn't that much. Break even 72. So again, scoring a 117 is going to mean his break even is obviously going to go below 50. I would imagine. I'm not sure exactly what it would be, but he's going to make some quick money. I'm jumping on at this stage. He's the one I was the most impressed with. So Mcinerney will do a bit of a switch. So Mcinerney will go as D6. Mcinerney will be traded out probably for maybe a Darcy Wilmot if he gets named for Brisbane. Mitch Robinson said on the Twitter space of the traders that he expects Darcy to get some games early and potentially even come into the team next week because he's had apparently a very good preseason. So I could bring him in, put him on the bench. And because DeConning will be out this week, I'll be able to do a bit of loopholing. So if McCann plays first, right? Oh, he plays against Geelong. God damn it. Won't be able to do that then. That plan's out the window. But hey, if DeConning's out for longer, then that's something I could do in the future. But yeah, Wilmot and McCartan, I'll probably bring Wilmot in, and then I'll use that money to put on top of a Nash type player and put Lipinski in and put him on my midfield and pro bench ward for the time being, because I just think Lipinski is going to score well. And out of him, Horn Francis, out of Dacos, Horn, Francis, and Ward. Probably Ward's going to be the guy that would go on the bench. But again, that'll make some good money on my midfield bench, be able to downgrade that at some point, and I'll have a lot of money on the bench to bring a guy in, unless this little ankle knock that people have talked about is anything to go by. So next player we'll talk about, so yeah, Lipinski, very, very good, obviously, as well. In terms of CBAs he went to, let's have a look here. So there was 31 CBAs, and Lipinski went to, oh, he only went to 15. Okay, that's interesting. I thought he went to a few more than that. Obviously, the first half he played really, really well. But again, he's getting that midfield. He's getting enough midfield clock as well. So at the first quarter, Lipinski had 53 points, started really well. Second quarter did okay with 19 points. But then second half, he didn't do obviously as good. But again, he's going to be scoring in 90s most weeks. So again, I think he's a good option that you could look at bringing in and making some money. But again, or you could just watch for another week and see what you like. But there you go. So Jack Hayes, brilliant, 111, 3 goals, 18 disposals, 10 marks. I wouldn't be rushing to put him on your field because Marshall dominated the ruck time. He had a lot more CBAs in terms of Hayes. So Marshall went to 27 of the 31. I think Hayes went to the other 4. So I wouldn't be rushing because Hayes played really well, and he could score you some 60s and 70 scores, but he could dish out a 40 or a 50 at some point. Hope not. I wanted to make a lot of cash because his break-in's going to be very, very low next week, very similar to like Nick Martin, whereas I'd prefer Nick Martin on your field. I wouldn't be rushing to put Hayes there. I'd keep Hayes at R3 as backup for Gawn or Grundy. So, yeah, but Hayes, very, very good, make some cash for us. Ron Marshall with 108 points. If you started with him, then again, Hayes played that well that are they going to rush Ryder back? I don't know if they are because Hayes played that well and it seemed to work well enough. They didn't get the win, obviously, but in terms of ruck guys, they played quite well. Sinker did turn the ball over a little bit as well, which did cost them. But yeah, Marshall, very, very good 108. If you didn't start with Gawn, you'd be happy with that. You got nearly 30 points extra, but I wouldn't be chasing wouldn't be going Gawn down to Marshall just to get that, because for me, that's just a wasted trade because you're going to want Gawn back at some point in the season. So I wouldn't be moving Gawn or Grundy. DeGoey looked very, very good as well. Attended a few more CBAs than what I thought he did. I know he did attend some, but he went to 21 or 31. So it looks a bit like that Connillio role where he's going to be attending a lot more CBAs than spending time forward. So maybe a 60-40 split, 65-35 maybe. But yeah, 2 goals, 27 touches, 107 is very good. You'll take that. I was hot on him in the preseason. My Deck of DT article was on him. And funny enough, did him and Caldwell, and I didn't start with either. So, but yeah, DeGoey, if he again doing that, he's going to be in the mix as well with the guys like Heen in that for those top 6 forwards. So, very, very good performance from him. Jack Steele, 107, probably a little bit on the disappointed side because a lot of people had him captain against Collingwood, expected maybe a 120, but 107, you sort of tick it off as well. No real players did score really big this week. There weren't too many 130 plus scores. You had a few, but it was a lot of your 110 to 125 were more often than not your scores. So, but yeah, to go very good. Jack Steele very good. I said to go. Nick Dacos very, very good on debut, 102. Again, people were having a sort of and saying, oh, his first touch was a turnover, but again, he got a handball and the guy was right on him. He just tried to smash it on the boot, so it wasn't a mistake from him. Really, it was just good pressure by St Kilda. But 102. Brilliant. You can take that. He looks a very, very good player, doesn't he? I think you saw I didn't see too much of the Hawthorn game, so I can't really speak on Ward too much. But in terms of the 4 debutantes that were the higher price ones, I did think they did look a bit of a cut above the rest. And Nick Martin obviously looked quite, and Jack Hayes looked good as well. But yeah, Rioli, Jason Horne-Francis, and Nick Dacos were just really, really impressive, weren't they? I was not Jason Horne-Francis in terms of his scoring compared to the other 2, but yeah, so Nick Dacos, very good. Gresham got a lot more midfield time than what I got. So 99 points, kicked a couple of goals, 24 touches. That's something I would watch in the coming games, 16 of 31. So a bit of 50-50 split. So we know Zach Jones for I'm not sure how long. Obviously, on personal leave at the moment. So maybe someone you watch. He's only just over 500k, so you don't have to jump on straight away. You can watch him. Maybe this week you watch him. If he plays midfield, you could jump on, but he's someone to keep an eye on. Played well. Brody Grundy, had him captain. 96. I was actually quite impressed with the 96, considering that he was on 61 points at 3/4 time. if it wasn't for that second quarter where he only scored 5 points, then it would have been a good 110, 120 plus score. So again, Grundy and Gawn are going to be your two top rucks this season. Unless Ryder's out for the whole year, then maybe Marshall rivals those couple. But I think Gawn and Grundy will still be the top two. But yeah, not bad from Grundy to start off in there. So yeah, side bottom 87, only 16 touches. As a forward, you're too expensive. He's probably not going to get enough this season to be considered in those top 6 to 8 forwards. Scotty Penderbury, 24 touches, 84. Nick Dacos did look like the busier guy coming out of there. He only had the 3 more touches than Pendles, but Pendles did take some kick-ins as well. In terms of kick-ins, what was the kick-ins like? So if I add the kick-ins, beautiful, I can add that in. Thank you very much. If I go out of it, close the app, and then go back into the kick-ins, then that might come up again. No, not that one. Not that one. So players, advanced. Okay, no, it's not coming up. So I'm not exactly sure what the kick-ins were for that game. If anyone wants to let me know, then that'd be very much appreciated if you can let me know that. It'd be interesting to see what Dacos, how many he took and how many Pendles got. But yeah, Brad Hill, 82. A few people jumped on him, 26 touches. Did okay. So again, probably not enough of what you wanted. Patton, 77. In terms of the guys priced around there, it was pretty good because you had a few guys score near the 50s and stuff. So if you had him, you're pretty impressed with that. Take that to the bank and move on to next week, and he will make a little bit of cash. But yeah, I'm not too sure. Tyler Adams only got the 71. I think he spent a little bit of extra time on the bench as well. So time on ground, I think he was quite low from memory. 73. I know he went off with he copped a knock as well. But yeah, and I'm not sure if he'll miss anything. I think he played the game out from memory. But yeah, 71, obviously not what you wanted from round one, but I'm sure he'll score a lot better than that in the future. How could I forget about that? Jack Chris, 51. As my D1 that I picked, I thought, brilliant. Midfield time, he's going to be a top 2 defender. Item is probably my almost D. I think I had him as my D2 for the season. Actually, no, D3 if you include Hall. I don't think I included him in my top 6 when I did my top 6 because I didn't think Hall would be back straight away. But I probably would have had him D3. But based on that, I don't know. But then again, all defenders did pretty crap this week. So I'm sure that I wouldn't be trading out Crisp off one game. Again, he's probably going to be a top 6 defender. You're going to want to have him at some point in the season. So I'd probably keep him. If he did this again and only got another 50, then you could consider trading him out. He's going to plummet in price and you could jump on at some point, especially with a few guys around, that are quite expensive. I think a popular trade will be a raid trade to be Crisp to Aaron Hall this week, considering what Aaron Hall did today. But in terms of that rest of that game, I saw a few people got on Mitch Owens. I would personally wouldn't have done that. He only played 49% game time as well, which is not what you want from your rookie. It probably means that he's not quite in their best 2020. Probably got in there based on a few people missing. So yeah, 49%, that's just not enough, is it? So yeah, there we go. So now we can move from that game to the Saturday night game. So apologies for doing it in that order, but hey, we got there in the end. So back to Brisbane and Port. Again, I didn't see this game. I had my dad's 50th. I kept an eye on the scores and stuff like that. But Dan Houston, 36 touches, 12 marks, 2 goals, 250 points. He was the highest scoring player of the round, if I'm not mistaken. He does this every year. The thing he does every year is if you start with him, he gets a 70. If you don't start with him, he gets a big 120 plus score. So I don't exactly, was his role, did he have, was it CBAs or was it more on a wing / half back? I don't think, he didn't have any CBAs. So, yeah, that's maybe, so yeah, on a wing half back, again, he's going to have these up and down games as well. So probably not someone I'd be looking at jumping on just yet unless he shows something. So what's Ryan said here? Mitchell, 89, Steele, 107, Took, 100, McRae, 120. Not great scores from top 4 mids. Lipinski, Rao, Caldwell, Cripps did better as mid to low prices. Sarongi not as good as Brayshaw, clear number 1. Yeah, we obviously, Ryan, you were speaking to me about this obviously just when we caught up. But yeah, you were saying that if in your starting midfield you would have had Lipinski, Rao, Caldwell, Cripps, Sarong, guys like that, even though Sarong didn't do well. But yeah, so again, these guys are going to make money. As I probably would have had one of the top 4 and obviously I went McRae, and he scored the best out of the top four, which I thought with a 120, I thought maybe a Took or Steele or a Mitchell might have gone high in that. But I will talk about Took in a sec with not concerns per se, but maybe concerns if he's probably not going to average that 120. So I'll speak about him a bit there. And Ryan, you also said he needed to go maybe getting more game time because Adams and Mills not full fitness. Yeah, again, that could be another reason as well. Mills only attended like about half of it. So yeah, maybe he goes to more when he gets that, when that fitness builds up. I do agree with that. And yeah, Adams probably goes to more as well with that full fitness. In terms of Adams, I think he still attended a little enough as well. Collingwood are very mixed, actually, besides Brody Grundy, who dominated. Adams still went to 20, so maybe not De Goey as much, but maybe Heaney's probably the one that loses some CBAs to that. But no, that's a very good point, Ryan. Thank you very much for that. Thank you for commenting in the live chat as well. Appreciate interacting. I do like interacting with people in live chat. So if you anything you just want to say hi, how you going? Anything, just let me know in the chat as well. So Lockheed Neil, he looked back, 118, 31 touches, 7 marks and 6 tackles. It was boosted quite heavily as well based on the third quarter when he scored 49 points. But again, that's just what Lockheed Neil can do. So a 118, brilliant start. I didn't personally think he was going to be in the top 8 mids. I thought he'd average between that 105, 110 mark. But if he can keep doing, again, one round, but if he's going to keep doing this, maybe you could bump him up in the top, maybe just outside the mix or even in the top 8. So look, very, very good. Again, he dominated CBAs. This rumor about Lockheed Neil spending time forward, it's just not true, is it? So out of the 25 CBAs, Neil went to 21. So like midfield dominant. He spent 76% time on ground. So again, that would mean that he would lost my track of thought. Yeah, sorry, the 4 that he missed would have been when he was off the ground. So it got there in the end. So I just had a mental blank for a second there. So Boat 115, he's literally the Tom Brady of the AFL, isn't he? He just gets better with age. 115. I thought he'd be spending more time forward this year, but 32 touches and attended. How many CBAs did he attend as well? He attended 19 of the. So yeah, very midfield dominant as well. So very good for him. Wines 102. Be happy with that. You tick that off. 100. Probably want a tiny bit more, but again, you got 100 there. Burn Jones 100 as well. Zach Bailey 98. I know Mitch Robinson was keen on him and his team. I thought maybe Zach Bailey would be more of an impact player. If he can continue these 90-plus scores again, could be a guy in the forward line you might be interested in. I just don't know if his scoring will be like. I think it'd be very up and down week to week. Zach Butters 96. Be pretty happy with that as well as a forward. Played a decent amount of midfield time as well. He went to 14 CBAs of 25, so not bad as well. So be pretty happy with that. Jared Berry was injured, so just keep an eye on that. Lions only with the 83 points. Still attended enough CBAs to 16-25, but I just don't know if he's going to average that 117. So yeah, I'm not too sure with that. So so Jackery, Houston Hawks cried, and then he also said Houston Hawks Crows. Oh, okay. Sorry. Okay. Yeah. Now I get you because I didn't get what that was. So Houston has the Hawks and the Crows in the next 2 and next 3 at home. Trade target. I want to see it for another week or 2 first because Houston's been that guy where we've been tricked into him in the past after a huge score and then he'll back it up with a 60. So these defenders can do this. He scored really well. If you're really, really keen and want to jump on, like, as you said, Hawks, Crows next 2 could have a few bumper scores. You could jump on something you could get some price rises from, but I would want to see something more for a week or 2 first before I jump on. But that's something up to you. But it's not the worst idea in the world as well. So there you go. That'd be my 2 cents worth anyway. Oscar Mcinerney 81. If you had him in draft, that's not too bad for your ruck. Darcy Falk at 72 as well. Had a decent amount of hits as well. I think it looked like a bit of a 55-45 split based on that. Bonner 73. He popped in my team at one point, but he then made his way out. I remember the game against the Dogs when he got a 120, but then I saw his other scores around that were 60. So, and I've got too many guys in the Port team as well. So there you go. Daniel Rich only 69. I think he went off injured at some point. I'm not sure if he came back on. Keep an eye on that as well. 62 from McCluggage and draft. You got him, probably not enough. Answorth 57. Probably you want it over 60 if you're paying 320 for him. Rayner 51. I know my mate Nick was keen on him as well, and we had him in his team, but I'm not sure if he's going to have enough impact on the game to be. I think he might be a bit more like a Zach Bailey, where he plays a lot better, and his scoring doesn't reflect how he plays. So, yeah, not sure. Meady got 44. Just let's see if he holds his spot. Port had a couple of injuries, but more defensive injuries in Mackenzie and Alira. So maybe probably doesn't. Maybe Josh Sin comes into the team. So I could get a Josh Sin, for example, and then that's a guy that. So actually, that's a good point. Yeah, keep an eye on Josh Sin. Josh Sin could be a guy that comes in and maybe they restructure back there. Maybe he doesn't play the key back role. I know Finlayson's played defence in the past. Maybe they could send him back. We'll just have to see what Port do in the week. But yeah, Josh Sin's guy, keep an eye on if he does get named. I know Zorko pinged a calf as well, apparently. So it's only 32 points. He's going to be quite cheap. He could be a premium guy you might jump on. I don't know if he played off half back as well. So I think he's just a straight mid this year. So if he becomes defender mid, he would be around that top 6 if he stays fit. And yeah, and Dersma again as well with an injury, did his shoulder as well, I think. So, and then Rosie played through an injury and only got 21. So if you jumped on him, probably not what you wanted. So, Christos Buras said, thoughts on Mcinerney? You reckon he'll be different when Lloyd is back? That's the one flag that, like, maybe Lloyd coming back. I thought Lloyd out. I thought Mcinerney would be better. So I'd probably almost be inclined to think that it'd go the other way and he won't be as good as what he did on the weekend. He only got 43, but maybe what you're saying is maybe he might be better when Lloyd comes back. That's a possibility. You could hold him for a week. At the moment, I'm thinking of jumping on the Lipinski train and doing a bit of a reshuffle because I've got Martin who I'll flick on the field. I'll flick a forward out and I can do a bit of stuff on my utility spot. That's what I'm thinking of doing. But yeah, I'm not too sure about that. And then you also said on Daniel Rioli hold. I would be trading Daniel Rioli out. I personally wouldn't have started with him, but I could see the appeal of starting with him. Priced at 56, or I think he was priced around there anyway. But then again, you could look as well. I did say the other night that Richmond did struggle in terms of scoring. No one scored well. I think Pickett was their top scorer at 84. I think Bolton had 80 and the rest had under 80. So you could hold for another week to see what he does. They have got the Giants who can be restrictive at times as well. I would probably move him on. But then again, the defenders, none of them scored well. So unless you're moving on to, there's no one up. So no one down or around that price I would move to. So unless you're moving up, you might be able to hold. Like if you didn't start with the Sicily, you got rid of him. If you didn't start with the George Hewitt, maybe move to one of those guys. But yeah, unless that, I'd move on or hold or whatever. So, Batter Mustafa. I hope I said that right. So Luke Ryan, shocking. What to do? What's Luke Ryan priced at? So Luke Ryan is priced at. He has these games though where he can be either really, really good or not as good. So Ryan's priced at 733, only 45. So I would be moving him on. I don't know if I would have started with him because I don't think he'll be in the top 6 defenders. That's the only reason I wouldn't have started with him. But I could see the appeal because he does take a lot of kick-ins. So funny enough, I saw Young and Chapman take quite a few at the game as well today. So I would look to move him on, and you've got a few guys that you could look at moving there. So, like, if you want to pay up for Aaron Hall, he looked like he's not going to stop what he did from last year. You can bring him in. You've got Doherty look really, really good with a 95. Dawson looked really good in the second half. I know he got a 75, but again, he only had like 20 points in the first half, so he looked really good in that. But I wouldn't be bringing Dawson in. But if in terms of the guys that actually did well, if Houston's breaking with 79, as Jackery said before, he's thinking about jumping on him, breaking to 79. His breaking's going to be under 50. Maybe you jump on him if you did get him, maybe make some cash. So then also Dusty. I'm just not a fan of Dusty with fantasy because he doesn't tackle. So he's not going to. Unless he gets 30 touches, he's not going to score you much more than if he gets 30 touches, he's going to score you 90 to 110. But if he doesn't get those touches, he only gets 20 touches, he's going to score you anywhere from 60 to 80. So I love Dusty as a player. I'm just not sure he's going to be able to keep up those scores as a top six forward. So I'll answer the other couple of questions. I saw a couple more there as well. So I'll answer them towards the end. I'll get through his last three games. So Hawthorn and North Melbourne. Aaron Hall, 125. Again, he just looks like he is going to continue where he left off from last season. Probably going to be number one defender. He's 900K. With these few premium guys struggling this week, a lot of people are just going to do a raid trade and go up the hole. I wouldn't be trading a premium to get up the hole. If you want to do a reshuffle to get maybe like a Nick Martin on your foot, if you started with a Dusty, you could go Dusty down, play Nick Martin, and then go maybe a Mcinerney up to Hull or someone. That's something that if you had those guys, you could look at doing that. But yeah, Hull's going to be really good, 125. David Juniak played well day, 121. Again, you'd want to see more if you want to look at a breakout. There's a few guys in the North Melbourne midfield. Josh Simkin, someone that if you wanted to jump on, you could, because he played really well in the second half of last season, and he's a guy that you could probably bring in. We're thinking about bringing in the preseason. He had that bad preseason game, and a few people probably jumped off. But if you didn't, and you held strong, you got rewarded in the first game. So 116, very, very good start from him. I think he'll average around that 105, maybe a little bit more. He played well. Luke McDonough, 109. He's going to get DPP. I think Hall's that main guy back there, but he did take 12 marks. Hall did take 11, so maybe you still get your 80s. I know he is quite cheap from memory, so he's a straight mid, though. So if he was a straight defender, then he could be someone that if you wanted to make some money, 5-7-1 midfielder. Bit of a weird price range. If he was like 400K, then maybe, because he might be able to score well. But yeah, Gunston 99, so with 7 shots. So, but it's James Sicily 96. We're very, very happy with that. So he's going to make some money. And I don't know if he's going to be around those top 6 defenders, but again, he's going to be one of those last guys you upgrade, because he's going to score within enough of those top 6 guys. Tom Mitchell 89, not probably what you wanted, but hey, these premiums are going to have a bad game every now and again. He didn't have a bad game, but 89 is probably not what you want. A few people might have had him captain as well. If you had him as well, you probably did put him captain, but 89, not what you wanted from him. Newcomb 79, that's okay, but not if you start with him. But he's probably a bit of a weird price range as well. Finn McGuinness just over 200K, 68. That's okay. Horn Francis 61. Again, you're going to get your 60 odd or a little bit more from him. So not terrible, but again, he's going to be on your foot. He's going to make your money. So, and he did look good in terms of an actual player, and probably didn't quite translate to the score, but hey, you're not getting rid of him yet, and he's on your field and he's playing for you. Sherry 61. With North Melbourne losing, do they think maybe drop one? I think they played okay enough that you could probably keep both in. He had more hit-outs than Goldie as well. In terms of CBAs, in terms of the split between the two, so Sherry actually went to more. He went to 13 compared to Goldie 10. So based on that, that's pretty positive that he went to more CBAs than Goldie. So maybe that's saying that you don't trade Sherry out per se, but yeah, it looks like they're looking to do a 50-50 split or thereabouts anyway. Tyrone Thomas, 49. That's not what you wanted to see in round 1 from him. If you started with him, that's a bit tough to swallow. I wouldn't be trading him out just yet. I'd wait another week to see what his role is. But in terms of his CBAs, there was 19, there was 23. Wait, did Simkin go to every CBA? 323, wow. Yeah, he did play 91% game time. That one surprised me. But yeah, Josh Simkin. So he's just going to be that main guy there. So if you were hot on him, or if you were looking at him, didn't start with him because you're worried about that game and you want to bring him back in, then I'd be jumping on that, because that's really very impressive, especially that much. So only 9 CBAs of the 23. So yeah, just he's not going to get that 60-40 or more split that you want to see. He's probably going to be more 50-50, 45-55 split. So yeah, you could think of moving it on, but I would probably hold for one more week and see what he did. Conor Mcdonald, 47. A few of the rookies struggled in the game as well. So if he's on your bench, that's fine. If he's on your field, I'd probably look at putting him on your bench and trying to get, if you didn't have Ward, Dacos, or Horn Francis move, getting them on, or even a Nick Martin, put Rioli in your midfield and get Nick Martin on your forward line. Josh Ward, only 41. A bit of an ankle complaint, apparently, but I wouldn't be trading him out. I'm moving him onto my bench just because I don't see too much difference between McCartan and Ward. Maybe Ward can get an 80 and Ward can get an 80, maybe McCann gets a 40. But based on week one, again, you could be jumping at shadows because Ward will score better than 41. He'll score, I think, more often not 60 or so per week. But McCann's playing that intercepting defender role, so maybe he takes those marks like he did. He took some kick-ins as well, so you're not going to get many of those 30 scores because he's going to take kick-ins. Maybe Lloyd coming back, he doesn't take those kick-ins, but yeah, we'll just see how that goes anyway. But yeah, that's something I'm thinking about doing. And I think it's about it from that game. Yeah, Max Lynch did go off injured as well. And so too did Ben King. So Reeves is going to be sort of right. So if you've got Reeves in your draft, next week should be probably good for you. I don't know if Lynch will miss that game. So here we go. The depressing game. Crows and Freo. If you missed the start of the stream, I did go to this game and being a Crows fan as well. There's the top I'm wearing still from the game. Unfortunately, they lost. Didn't have a very good first half, the Crows, but Ben Keys played very well, 132 with 37 touches. He was everywhere, just at the being at the game. I just saw him every time the ball was there. He's going to be very good this year as well. Probably not going to be amongst those top 8 midfielders, but he did go to 20 CBAs of 27, so he went to quite a number of them. Played 86% game time. He's going to be decent enough. He's going to be very good in draft. He's probably going to average 105, maybe 108 upwards of there. No, not upwards there, up to around there. But I don't see him pushing those top 8 mids. Hey, I could be wrong. Maybe with Laird come back as well, that changes. Andrew Brayshaw, 120. Again, if I was picking between him and Kelly before the season, I did answer. I think James Walker put that question in the last stream. And I said, he said, who would you pick between Brayshaw and Kelly? I said Brayshaw. Hopefully, if he tunes in at some point at all or watches this, or if he doesn't, that's fine. But I hope he did start with Andrew Brayshaw because 120, and I would have put him probably captain as well if you didn't have any of those big boys because the Crows do give up points. He scored well, and yeah, he looks ready for this 110 plus breakout that many people have predicted. Josh Rochelle, 100 points, 5 goals, 14 disposals. Only had the 3 tackles today compared to the 9 in preseason, but he does look like he will tackle. He did get a few tackles where the guy got a handball. It didn't count as a tackle, but he just looks so good. I'm so happy that we got him. Fingers crossed, as a Crows fan, that we can keep him for many years to come because we do lose quite a few players wanting to go either back home or to free agency. But he looks really good, and he should be on your field in the next few weeks. A few people did put him on the bench for Nick Martin, but obviously did get 30 extra points, but he looks good for a safe spot on your field, and more often than not, a 60 odd every week, hopefully. Maybe probably 50 more often than not because Crows will struggle in some games and he might not score as much. Jimmy Rowe played really well being at the game, 87. But again, I just thought I'd mention him because as a Crows fan, he played really well. Matt Crouch got 83 with 30 touches. I said to my mum at the game that he just gets so many handballs when he should be kicking. Like I saw a few chances where it was a 15-meter hand pass and he could have kicked. I'm like, man, just kick the ball. It would have only been a few more points, but he did give a couple of free kicks away as well. So I'd be fine with Matt Crouch. If you started with him, it's not a bad start to the year for him. 30 touches is the impressive thing of him getting those, breaking to 77. So he's going to go up a tiny bit. But yeah, I obviously wouldn't be jumping off. And my AFL app is playing silly buggers with me. So thank you very much for that. We're back to that again. No, we're playing. Okay, good. There we go. So, all right. So Matt Crouch, yeah. So not bad from Crouch, 30 touches, and hopefully he'll be upwards of 90 in the next few weeks. First game back as well at full speed. So probably a bit of first game jitters. This game wasn't actually very high scoring as well. I should note that as well. There was only one player at halftime over 50, and obviously only 3 players scored over 90. 3 players got 100, but then the next best was Shoal on 89. So that would be something I'd look at or keep in mind. Roy O'Brien, 79. Again, Max Gawn, if you're looking at it the way Max Gawn's a few 100K more, then you're like, well, that's okay then. But Rob's going to be about that 85 to 95 guy. He's going to get you some bad games. He's going to have some good games and a little bit in between. So it's just a bit of a roller coaster. So you're just going to have to be prepared for that if you have got him. Will Brody got 77, but the stat I did see that he did spend a lot of time in the last quarter off the ground, and he only spent 65% time on ground. Sarong, which was good with 77%, a little bit more up what he has done. But that's a little bit concerning for Will Brody with only 65. So maybe I could go him down instead of Naish, because Naish didn't actually play that bad today. Maybe you do that because Will Brody's didn't get as much game time. And then when Fife comes back, that's going to be even less time. So that would make me a little bit worried if I'd Brody. I didn't realise that it was that low turn time. He still went to 17 CBAs of the 27. So he went to quite a number. But again, looking at the CBAs, Brayshaw 23, Mundy 21, Sarong 17, the same as Brody. And then Fife back. Fife's going to be better. Brody might get bumped down to under 10. Sorry, not under 10, under 15. And then if he's only spending 6% time on ground, that's probably not great. So, yeah, something to think about as well. But 77, you take that from this. He's going to make a tiny bit of money from round one. Jordan Dawson, 75. Again, he had a poor first half. Just, again, I think first game jitters for a new club as well. Didn't have the impact, but he did have a good impact in the second half. Had 32 points in the third quarter and 20 in the last quarter. So I had a better second half, as I said, strong in the first half. So if you've got him, don't jump off. But if I wouldn't be looking to bring him in straight away, maybe let him get used to the team first. I think he did attend a couple of CBAs as well. So he went to 6. So if you're getting some CBAs, playing off a wing, playing off half back, then it's a good role. So just something to definitely keep an eye on. Darcy Tucker and I mate Nick started with him, 72. He looked really good, but he didn't score one last quarter. I think he was on near 60. He was on 64, I think, at 3/4 time. So, yeah, 72, just something to keep an eye on. But, yeah, just didn't score one last quarter. Jordan Clark played really well. He only scored 70, but played really well. Caleb Sarong, 69. That's obviously not what you wanted. Is that third-year breakout going to happen? Oh, he's a great player. I love Sarong. But clearly today showed that Andrew Brayshaw's the number one. Maybe because the game was so tight in the second half, maybe they put money in there more and not as much Sarong. But yeah, that's something to keep an eye on. Sarong was the third guy in there, but yeah, 6'9" is not what you want. I wouldn't be trading him out after 1 week. He still had a good midfield role, but something to just keep an eye on. That maybe you might have to look at jumping off maybe in the next couple of weeks if he doesn't start doing better. Heath Chapman, 51, obviously got that bloody tap off the line to win the game for Freo. Freo deserved to win the game. They had a lot better in the first half. They should have been probably at least 5 to 8 goals in front at half time. But then based on the second half, the Crows should have won the game. But it was going 2 halves, and that just showed in the final score. But yeah, Heath Chapman, 51, probably not what you wanted exactly. Wayne Miller, 50. If you started with Miller, I wouldn't be trading him out. I noticed that he wasn't heavily involved, and he was based on, I think, just his first game in like 2 years playing with the main team, because he didn't obviously play any games in the preseason. In terms of time on ground, what did they do? So Miller was only 61%. Again, I thought that would happen, that he would be eased into it. So 61% doesn't surprise me because he didn't play any preseason games. So I would just imagine that will slowly increase to 65, 70%, 75%. And because he's priced he's priced cheaply, and he's still got 50 from 61%. So it's not terrible. So I wouldn't be too concerned with that. Crouch with 66% as well. So the 83 is really good, actually, when you look at that. He's more a 75% guy. So again, being such a hot day and rotations are plenty, I would probably imagine him and Miller will up their game time as the season goes on. So I wouldn't be trading either out. Obviously, Crouch's got okay. I wouldn't be trading Miller out either. I'll just see how the next couple of weeks goes and hope that they can get more game time. Luke Ryan, as Jackery said before, obviously didn't do well for him with only 45, which sucks. You would have wanted, obviously, a lot more than that. Michael Walters only 26. I thought I saw Michael Walters a lot more in the game today than that. And then Liam Henry as well. I thought I saw him a lot, and he only got 24. So same with Frederick. I saw Frederick Walters and Liam Henry a lot today. They just didn't get a lot of the possessions and stuff. So they're going. Soligo only 17. He obviously wasn't involved in the game too much, and he could lose his spot next week. Scholl played very, very well after coming in. He got 89 points in 3 quarters, but he did play high time on ground with those 3 quarters, 62%. So, yeah, of the 3 quarters. So there you go. But, yeah, that's it from that game. The final game, the West Coast Gold Coast game, obviously very depleted Eagles side. First, we got to start off with Maddie Rowe. And I know these are a few comments here as well. I'll get to that once I get this game done. Maddie Rowe 117. He looked very, very good today. He took a mark as well. So he went back and took an intercept mark. So that was good to see. 6 tackles, 33 disposals, 117. Can he get these 115 plus scores on a regular basis? I don't think he can. Can he get 90 plus on a regular basis? I think that's more than the possibility. So he looked very, very good today. Looked back to the ball. And he looked even stronger as well than what he did in those first few games. So that was good for him. Gaffey he got the tackle added, going up to 100, mate. My mate Gaffey's got the 100. So I didn't start with him. I can't start with him. I don't think I'll have him at this point unless he got injured and did really bad, then went down like 500k. But it's good for Gaff. You got him in draft, then it's good as well. I'd probably have him in draft just because I want some shares of Gaff. Now with Toot Miller, I did start to speak about him. So Toot Miller with 100. His work rate's going to be great as well. And only 2 marks and 5 tackles is great. But yeah, I did see Jude Axford just put in the comments there. He said Toot was a little disappointing. And the concern I would have with Toot based on this game, again, 1 game sample, I could easily be jumping at shadows and Toot Miller goes and averages 120 for the season. But I would say maybe bump Toot Miller's down and closer to 115, 110 because with Rao back and being the ball that he is and getting a lot more of the footy, maybe there's less of Miller needing to get 35 touches with 10 tackles and like 6 or 7 marks. So, yeah, just watch some of that. Toot Miller's still be very good. I wouldn't want to trade him out per se, but like if you went him down to a guy like Lipinski, for example, that makes you like 400k, and then that could upgrade something else. So unless it did something massive, I wouldn't trade him out. But I don't know if he's going to score that 120 plus that he did. But again, let's just see what happens. It's 1 game. No, not many players scored over 120 this week, so I wouldn't be trading him out. But that's just something that would pop into my head that you could just see what you could do with that. But yeah, I wouldn't be doing. Luke Foley got 100 as well. He has scored quite well in the past, but I wouldn't be looking at that. Jermaine Jones played quite well, 97. But again, you're not looking at someone like him. Noah Anderson, 91. That's okay, especially in draft. Jared Witts, 89. I don't think he started the game very well at all. I think he was I think his last half was particularly good. So in the third quarter, he got 21 points, and the last quarter he scored 32. So okay, so he wasn't terrible, but yeah. So 89, you take that as well, especially because he's priced so cheap. Good start from him. Wasn't too many guys in this game that were like fantasy relevant. So Willie Rowley, if you had him as a forward, 61, it's not too bad. Paddy Nash, 60. Oh, geez, I'll tell you what, I was very worried because not many people got Paddy Nash. Only 2.5% had him at lockout, and I was one of them because I thought he'd score quite well. I think he'll be in the team long term. So 60 points. He played a lot of time on ground. I was surprised at how much time he spent on ground, considering that he'd only been with the team not for long, 89%. So that would encourage me. So after looking at him and then Brody, I'd be more inclined to go Brody down to put Nick Martin on the field because Brody's not going to make as much cash as maybe him and Nash would be similar in terms of making cash. But yeah, that 65% for Brody is quite concerning. But yeah, Nash had a decent first quarter, 15 points. So this was like a roller coaster for me. 15 points. Then he scored -3 in the second quarter. And then he ended up going a 31-point quarter, and then 27-point quarter. So if he can do more often than not, those 20, get closer to 80, which is what he would have been on track for second quarter, that's not a bad option. If you could look at, I wouldn't bring him in, but in that second quarter and the first quarter as well, they just didn't look for him, and they didn't go. It was not look for him, but they just didn't go on his wings. So someone to watch. I might not trade him out like I was going to, and maybe that is a Brody because that 65% time on ground is a little bit concerning. So just keep an eye on that. But yeah, so anyone else? Brady Hoff, 40. He's on my bench. He'll make a little bit of money, but maybe he's not going to make as much money as what we probably first thought. I thought maybe close to 60, whatever he would have scored. And then Hugh Dixon only the 32. We knew that he wouldn't be a high scorer, so he's not going to make a lot of money at all. That's the reason I didn't start with him, because I just didn't think that he had that capacity to score high enough. So in terms of what I scored this week, so I'll do a personal. I want to get through all the games first before I went on personal stuff. Maybe I'll do it at the start next time. So for the first round, I got 1948. So that ranks me about 29,600. Just, yeah, so quite in terms of it wasn't quite as good as a lot of others. A lot of people did score over 1900. 1950, whereas I didn't quite get there. not too bad. Again, people that have won the comp before have been ranked in the 20,000s before. So I wouldn't be, I'm not too concerned with that. So I'm sure I'll do better next week. I did have a few duds. So in terms of, wow, Lockhart's just actually lifted. Wow, that was really quick for Lockhart to be lifted. I'm impressed with Fancy for getting that. Normally, previous years with round one, it takes a while. But yeah, so if you want to, you can go do your rage trades now as well. So in terms of +3, -3. So my +3, I'd probably go and give it to few honourable mentions. Probably Rioli and Nick Dacos with hundreds on debut were very nice. I'll probably give mine to Paddy Cripps because just watching him play, and he's priced 82, 112. I expected Neil and McRae to get 110s, hopefully, or 105 pluses, but Cripps, I was hoping for 95 plus and a 112 to start these, and he just looked very, very good as well. And yeah, I'm very happy with him. But again, Neil and McRae and guys like that did really well. In terms of -3, a couple of guys that could get it here. So you're not going to give it. I can't give it to Ward. He's a rookie. You're not going to give him 41. It's not what you want. But Miller or low Tom on ground. It's got to be Mcinerney, doesn't it? It's got to be Mcinerney or Crisp. I'm going to split it between those two because Crisp you expect a lot more than that. And Mcinerney was a guy that I took a bit of a risk on, only owned by about 18 odd %. So I took a risk and just not good enough. So if you guys have got your +3 or -3s, let me know in the chat as well. Or if you're watching on replay, let me know in the chat below as well. So we'll finish up here as well with just these couple of questions. I'll go do my fix-up trades as well. But how much? Actually, what's Nick Martin's break-even? That'd be something I'd just be interested to see. -44. That's good. Jack Hayes, -31. Rioli, -7. Obviously, he's a little bit higher. And Nick Dacos is -7 as well. So that's very good for money-making purposes. So I'll fix around with that after. So let's go through a couple of these questions and stuff here. So we've got... Christos Buras, I hope I pronounced that correctly. He said, I'll remove Mcinerney, switch Rioli to defence. Okay, had him forward. Okay, yeah, and defence and Phil Martin. Yep, I do like that. Martin, I think, has shown that he's got to be on our fields, and I think his job security's gone from not being great to pretty good because he looked very good, and he's only been there like a month. And I don't know, a lot of these players like Jack Hayes played really well, and you'd think that they'd get more of an opportunity at AFL level. Well, a lot sooner, sorry, but he played really well. So, yeah, Nick Martin, I think a lot of people are going to move him on the field and move people off. Jackery said, would you do Steele to Lipinski and Mcinerney to Hall? Sounds crazy, but I don't mind it. When you look at it, when you look at Lipinski Hall, you're like, they're going to be good. Lipinski's going to make a lot of money and Hall's there, but I wouldn't be trading Steele. I'm a guy that's against trading premiums unless, for example, you had a R2 situation where you had Prus to get in, like Flynn last year gets dropped, you need money to fix that. So that would be somewhere I'd consider doing that. But in terms of just going like a Steele Lipinski and then Mcinerney to Hall, the only reason I wouldn't do that is because Steele could go get a 120 next week, Lipinski get an 80, and then Mcinerney can get a 100, and then Hall could get a 90. So that'd be might not happen. It might be different scores that, but yeah, I do know what you mean. It does look good after 1 week, but I would keep Steele, and if you can maybe move to do like a Brody or someone down, put Martin on your field. So that's just something there. So Ryan says a similar price. Who would you pick? Petrarca, Mills, Brayshaw, or Kelly? I think you got to go Petrarca there, don't you? You got to go the track. He looked amazing on Wednesday night. He looked like, as I said on the Friday stream, he looked like he could tear this season apart. He could average 120. I'm not joking. He could average 120 this year. He's got that mix of what the Uber premiums can do. I didn't think he was going to be able to do these 130 plus scores on a normal basis. 1 week, I know I'm not jumping at shadows because Petrarca's an amazing player. So if someone wanted to bring him in, I would be full against it. So I'd be, to rank them, I'd go Petrarca, Brayshaw, Mills, Josh Kelly, based on the first week. But in terms of full season, I'd probably go in the order that you've got them: Petrarca, Mills, Brayshaw, Kelly. I still think Mills will average more than Brayshaw because I think that he'll get more midfield time once he gets a little bit more match fitness. But yeah, I do like Brayshaw as well. So, but yeah, Kelly probably are the ones out of the first week. I wouldn't be trading Kelly, but out of the first week, obviously scored not as much as the other guys, and same with Mills. Jude Axford said Toot was a little disappointing. Yeah, I do agree. As I did talk. I mentioned that as well. So you had Nate. So Jude said I also had Naish and he didn't touch the ball for 30 minutes. Yes, the second quarter. Yeah. And I was about to go into full depressed mode because I thought, great, I'm going to have a 20 on my field. He's going to get like 9 points in the last quarter. But thankfully, he had a very good third quarter and a pretty good last quarter as well. So based on that, if he can do that for 4 quarters, maybe he stays in the team and scores quite well. So maybe I'll go keep him and go Brody down. So that's just something I'll look at. So yeah, Luke Ryan +3 for you, Jude. -3 so for Luke Ryan and +3 for Team English. And you've also mentioned Dan Houston there as well. You probably go Dan Houston over English with the 150. But yeah, but if you start with Dan Houston, kudos to you. I wouldn't have had the balls to start with him because he's done me dirty. He's done me dirty too much in the past. And yeah, but speaking of, it was a smart pick to start with because with the number 1 rut roll, he played quite well in that. So maybe does Steph Martin come back in as well? So that's just something to see. So round 1 in the books, and that's the weekend report all done, unless anyone else has got anything to add as well. But thank you guys very much. It's good. A few more comments. I do like that. Thank you very much for anyone that contributed to the chat. If you want to leave any comments below as well on your +3, -3s, how your team went, what you're looking at trades, any trade questions, whatever you want, leave them in the comments below or hit me up on Instagram or Twitter. Links are in the description below. If you're enjoying the content, leave a like on the video. Appreciate any support you guys leave as well. And as well as subscribing to the channel if you're new around here. Appreciate that. I go live every Friday at 4 p.m. Adelaide time. So as I said, 4:30 p.m. for majority of you guys. So like for Queensland, New South Wales, Tasmania, Victoria. And then it's like 1:30 for Western Australia. And then if you live anywhere else in the world, then I'm not sure exactly. But yeah, and then on the Sunday night, don't have a set time. It'll just be straight after the final game. So normally it'd be like 9:30. So this is a bit of quite a late night. It's 11 o'clock here. So, but yeah, thank you very much, guys, for tuning in as well. Appreciate all the support. And I'll see you guys on Friday for the weekend forecast. So have a good night, everyone. And I'll see you then. Cheers.